Hare Krishna, Leela Manjari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. Are you there? You liked your little walk? Did you have fun with your, what did you do with your biscuit? Where's your little biscuit? Hare Krishna, Leela Manjari, are you available? Well, nobody's here, so I guess I have to wait. Well, if even nobody joins today, I guess I'll get started and I will give the class even if no one's here. That's something Prabhupada would do, and so I must learn to do the same. Okay? So you just get ready here and I'll start the class. Okay, it's 7 minutes after 5, so I don't want to wait any longer. Om Jnana Timirandasya Ganananjana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Narayanam Namaskritya, Naram Chaiva, Narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Tato Jayam Udirayat, Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, Bhagavati Uttama Shloke, Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Thank you for joining Lavanya Mataji. Today, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
Okay, so today I had to change the schedule. I'm sure you received it. I sent it this morning quite early. We're still in Canto 4. Dhruva Maharaj returns home, chapter 9, and it's beginning with text 30. Now there were some days where there was no class. So on Friday, I was with Leela Manjari and we did text 29, which was a very long purport. So today we'll do text 30, 31, and 32. Okay. Dhruva uvacha samadhina naika bhavena yatpadam vidu sanadaya urva ritasaha maser aham sadbir amusya padayosh shayam upetya pagata pritanmatihi. Translations and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Dhruva Maharaj thought to himself, to endeavor to be situated in the shade of the lotus feet of the Lord is not an ordinary task, because even the great brahmacharis headed by Sanandana, who practiced Astanga yoga in trance, attained the shelter of the Lord's lotus feet only after many, many births. Within 6 months, I achieved the same result, yet due to my thinking differently from the Lord, I fell down from my position. Purport. In this verse, Dhruva Maharaj himself explains the cause of his moroseness. First, he laments that to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead directly is not easy. Even great saintly persons like the 4 celebrated brahmacharis, headed by Sanandana, Sanaka, Sanatana, and Sanat Kumara, practiced the yoga system for many, many births and remained in trance before getting the opportunity to see the Supreme Lord face to face. As far as Dhruva Maharaj was concerned, he saw the Supreme Lord personally only after 6 months of practice in devotional service. He expected, therefore, that as soon as he met the Supreme Lord, the Lord would take him to his abode immediately, without waiting. Dhruva Maharaj could understand very clearly that the Lord had offered him the rule of the world for 36,000 years, because in the beginning, he was under the spell of the material energy and wanted to take revenge against his stepmother and rule over his father's kingdom. Dhruva Maharaj greatly lamented his propensity for ruling the material world and his revengeful attitude towards other living entities. Lavanya Mataji, would you care to read text 31?
Sure, Mataji.
Thank you.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aho bata mamanatmayam manda bhagyasya pasyata bhavachidah padamulam gatva yacheyad antavat. Translation. Alas, just look at me. I am so unfortunate. I approach the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can immediately cut the chain of the repetition of birth and death, but still, out of my foolishness, I prayed for things which are perishable. Purport. The word anatmyam is very significant in this verse. Atma means the soul, and anatmya means without any conception of the soul. Srila Rishabhadeva instructed his sons that unless a human being comes to the point of understanding the Atma or spiritual position, whatever he does is ignorance, and this brings only defeat in his life. Dhruva Maharaja regrets his unfortunate position, for although he approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is always able to give his devotee the highest benediction of cessation of the repetition of birth and death, which is impossible for any demigod to offer, he foolishly wanted something perishable. When Hiranyakashipu asked immortality from Lord Brahma expressed his inability to offer such a benediction because he himself is not immortal. Therefore, immortality or complete cessation of the chain of repeated birth and death can be offered by the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead Himself, not by others. Harim vinanamritim taranti. It is said that without the blessings of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, no one can stop the continuous chain of birth and death within this material world. Therefore, the Supreme Lord is also called Bhavachit. The Vaishnava philosophy in the process of Krishna consciousness prohibits the devotee from all kinds of material aspirations. A Vaishnava devotee should always be anyabhilashita shunya, free from all material aspirations for the results of fruitive activities or empiric philosophical speculation. Dhruva Maharaja was actually initiated by Narada Muni, the greatest Vaishnava, in the chanting of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This mantra is a Vishnu mantra, for by practicing the chanting of this mantra, one is elevated to the Vishnu Loka. Dhruva Maharaja regrets that although he was initiated in the Vishnu mantra by a Vaishnava, he still aspired for material benefits. That was another cause for lamentation. Although he got the result of the Vishnu mantra by the causeless mercy of the Lord, he lamented how foolishly he was to have strived for material benefits while practicing devotional service. In other words, every one of us who is engaged in devotional service in Krishna consciousness should be completely free from all material aspirations. Otherwise, we will have to lament like Dhruva Maharaja. Thank you, ma'am.
Wow, thank you. Okay, and then I'll do text 32. Matir vidushita devai patadbir asahishnubihi yonarada vachastatyam nagrahisham asatamaha. Since all the demigods who are situated in the higher planetary system will have to come down again, they are all envious of my being elevated to the Vaikuntha Loka by devotional service. These intolerant demigods have dissipated my intelligence, and only for this reason could I not accept the genuine benediction of the instructions of sage Narada. Purport. As shown by many instances in the Vedic literature, when a person undergoes severe austerities, the demigods become very much perturbed because they are always afraid of losing their posts as the predominating deities of the heavenly planets. It is known to them that their position in the higher planetary system is impermanent. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, 9th chapter, Shine punye martya lokam vishanti. It is said in the Gita that after exhausting the results of their pious activities, all the demigods who are inhabitants of the higher planetary system have to come back again to this earth. It is a fact that the demigods control the different activities of the limbs of our bodies. Factually, we are not free, even in moving our eyelids. Everything is controlled by them. Dhruva Maharaj's conclusion is that these demigods, being envious of his superior position in devotional service, conspired against him to pollute his intelligence. And thus, although he was the disciple of a great Vaishnava, Narada Muni, he could not accept Narada's valid instructions. Now, Dhruva Maharaj regretted very much that he had neglected these instructions. Narada Muni had asked him, "Why should you bother about insult or adoration from your stepmother?" He, of course, said to Dhruva Maharaj that since Dhruva was only a child, what did he have to do with such insult or adoration? But Dhruva Maharaj was determined to achieve the benediction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore Narada advised him to go back home for the time being. And in mature time, he could try to practice devotional service. Dhruva Maharaj regretted that he had rejected the advice of Narada Muni and was adamant in asking him for something perishable, namely revenge against his stepmother for her insult and possession of the kingdom of his father. Dhruva Maharaj regretted very much that he could not take seriously the instruction of his spiritual master and that his consciousness was therefore contaminated. Still, the Lord is so merciful that due to Dhruva's execution of devotional service, he offered Dhruva the ultimate Vaishnava goal. Wow. Okay, so let me go back and start to explain. Looks like we're the only ones on the call so far today, but that can change, Lavanya Mataji, you never know. Okay, so basically what we're seeing in these three texts is the lamentation or regretting of Dhruva Maharaj that he was unable to execute his devotional service perfectly, that he still had material desires, and that, you know, he lamented this, all of the propensities that he had. You know, he wanted to be able to say, you know, I'm going to execute this devotional service purely. But first of all, he was at a very young age, which was the first problem, you know, because he was told, I can't remember who said it. I think it was his spiritual master, Narada Muni, who told him, you know, why don't you wait? Why don't you wait until you're older, until you're more mature, and then you can practice devotional service. So don't be so, you know, eager to seek revenge upon your stepmother. Okay, so in this first text, 31, Dhruva Maharaj, he realized that he was trying to be situated at the lotus feet of the Lord, and he knew that this was not something that just anybody could attain. Even great saints and brahmacharis who practiced yoga, this is Sangha yoga, they attained the shelter of the Lord's feet only after many, many births. So Dhruva Maharaj was very special. He attained this status of the lotus feet of the Lord within 6 months, what to speak of one or many births. So, but he fell from his exalted position because he was not at that platform of perfected or pure devotional service. It was mixed. You know, we should all think of this when we're performing devotional service. He began to have regrets. Okay, and this is a very young boy, so this is pretty advanced, I even think, for such a young boy, that he got to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face, and yet he was still wanting these material things, and he just couldn't understand. He couldn't understand it because he knew that, like the four Kumaras, they were very exalted people, and they practiced for many, many births before they got the opportunity to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead face to face. So just by practicing for 6 months, Dhruva Maharaj achieved that status of being able to see the Lord face to face. And the Lord, you know, was very affectionate toward Dhruva Maharaj. And so he thought, well, you know, since I've achieved this status that that I was able to see the Lord face to face, I should be able to go back home immediately, go back to the Lord's abode and not wait. However, the Lord didn't do it that way, because he was young, and he had this mixed devotional service. And so the Lord knew he had still had material desires. And so he offered him the rule of the kingdom for 36,000 years. And once again, I think I mentioned this in the last class or two, that this was not uncommon in the Satya Yuga. This was, I believe, in the Satya Yuga, right? Yeah, it should have been, where people were living 100,000 years easily. So it's not uncommon for this rule, for Dhruva Maharaj to rule for 36,000 years. And he also had this mixed devotional service because he wanted to take revenge against his stepmother. Okay, that was the other part. And he just regretted so much that he had this attitude. It's like he couldn't shake it. Okay, this vengeful attitude towards others. And also, and of course, it was his stepmother, and this desire, tremendous desire to rule the material world, the king. Okay, so would you like to share a little bit, Lavanya Mataji, on text 31? If not, I understand, but if you can, that would be great. Are you there, Lavanya Mataji? Okay, well, I guess I'll explain it also.
Hare Krishna,
So
Mataji. Sorry, you were calling me. I just went aside.
Oh, that's okay. I just wondered if you wouldn't mind explaining a little on text 31, if you would like.
Oh, okay. Sure, Mataji. I can try. One second. So in this verse, Dhruva Maharaja, so as you said in the previous verse, so he was thinking like once he sees the Supreme Lord face to face, he was expecting that he would directly go back to and Lord will take him back to the Vaikunta, but it didn't happen like that. And he was lamenting on his desires, like he wants to rule the kingdom, and also he wants to take revenge on his stepmother, like that. He was just feeling morose that he asked such type of benedictions. And continuation with that in this verse. So he was thinking that I am so unfortunate that I approached the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who can immediately cut the chain of the repetition of birth and death. But still, out of my foolishness, I prayed for things which are perishable. So we know that. So people, so he is realizing that here we have the Lord. Here I have the Lord before me, and he can take away the cycle of repetition of birth and death, and he can give that much big benediction. Even then, I was so foolishly I was asking about this material things. So he is just lamenting. And here Prabhupada is giving some examples of Hiranyakashipu, how he asked Lord Brahma about giving the immortality, because Lord Brahma, he even can't give such type of benediction, because he is not immortal. He cannot give that type of benedictions. So he just declared that I cannot give that type of, but he has some other. And finally, the Lord in Narsimha Avatara came and killed Hiranyakashipu. We all know that. So here, even the demigods, so the Lord Brahma is very having limited powers. He can't give immortality. So Dhruva Maharaja, he's lamenting because so if we see Lord face to face, then it's like a foolish thing for asking any material things. So that's what here Prabhupada is explaining. And also So here, Prabhupada is still writing about the Vaishnava devotee. One second. The Vaishnava philosophy in the process of Krishna consciousness prohibits the devotee from all kinds of material aspirations. So a devotee should always be anyabhilashita shunya, free from all material aspirations for the results of fruitive activities or empirical philosophical speculation. So as we know, the definition of pure devotional service is anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karma dhyanavritam anukulena krishnanu bhaktiruttama. So when we should not have the devotional service which is devoid of all the material fruitive activities, desires, material desires and fruitive activities and philosophical speculation, then only it is a pure devotional service. So one has to always aspire for a pure devotional service without having any material desires. That's the highest goal. So that's why the Vaishnava philosophy, the Krishna consciousness leads ones to leave all these material desires step by step or gradually, and so that one can reach the highest benediction of going back to Goloka or back to Godhead. So that's what here Prabhupada is saying, that Dhruva Maharaja was actually initiated by Narada Muni, the greatest Vaishnava, in the chanting of Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this mantra, so we know that Narada is a very highly elevated devotee, and he's the supreme. So he's the one of the greatest devotees of Lord. And Dhruva Maharaja is so fortunate that he got the mercy of Narada Muni, and as a spiritual master, he is giving the mantra where Dhruva Maharaja can directly forget about all his material desires, and he can directly go back to Godhead. But that's why he is lamenting that even though I got such a big benediction from Narada Muni, this mantra, and I just couldn't recognize how foolishly I was still, even though I am seeing Lord face to face, that still I am desiring. Even I have all these desires. I started with all these material desires, and Lord is trying to fulfill my desires. So, but the thing is, here in the end of the purport, Prabhupada is writing like, although so he lamented how foolish he was to have strived for material benefits while practicing devotional service. In other words, every one of us who is engaged in should be completely free from all material aspirations. So here, by seeing the example of Dhruva Maharaja, we should understand that even though in the beginning stage we may be coming towards the Lord for any material desires, but eventually we have to gradually in Krishna conscious process, the process given by Srila Prabhupada. So we have to eventually leave these material desires and just aspire for the association of the Lord and going back to Godhead. So that should be the goal of every Vaishnava. So that is the highest benediction which we can get. So, but even though the Dhruva Maharaja started his devotional service with a material desire, but Lord mercifully gave him a highest position, like sanctioning a Dhruva planet on his name, and he gave his kingdom and good position. He gave a very nice, good position to Dhruva Maharaja. So, but Dhruva Maharaja is lamenting now. What did I do like that? Yes, Mataji, thank you. This is all.
Very nicely explained, Lavanya Mataji. Thank you.
You can add something, Mataji. Please go.
Well, I not at the moment. I'm not. Yeah, it's just that we too, in devotional service, we should be striving for, like you said, to serve the Lord and in pure devotional service and to go back home. It's a lot easier said than done. I mean, but it is possible. I think, as you said, as we increase our devotional service and our love for the Lord, those aspirations will automatically dissipate, I think. Told it will just be very natural to just want the Lord, and that's it. So thank you. Now, in this very last text, Dhruva Maharaj is thinking that the demigods, okay, are envious. He thinks that the demigods are envious that he was elevated to the Vaikuntha Loka by devotional service, and they, they have to come down here again. Even though they're very elevated souls, they have to come, they're in the higher planetary systems, they have to come down again. And so he says that the intolerant demigods have dissipated my intelligence, and only for this reason could I not accept the genuine benediction of the instructions of sage Narada. Now, to me, when I hear it that way, it almost sounds like, well, he's blaming the demigods, that they're envious of him, and therefore that's why he couldn't practice devotional service perfectly, okay, or get the perfect benediction from Narada Muni. To me, this sounds a little bit childish, to be honest. Now, it is true that the demigods get concerned and they get fearful of losing their positions or their posts as deities of the heavenly planets when they see someone else undergoing high, severe austerities. They know that their position in the higher planetary system is impermanent. And we know that from the Bhagavad Gita. It is said that after exhausting the results of their pious activities, all the demigods who are inhabitants of the higher planetary system have to come back again to this earth. So, when I read that, it says to me, why would I want to go to a heavenly planet that still exists within this material world? Because then I have to come back again. And in those planetary systems, the jivas live a long time. And I can't even imagine, spending another lifetime of thousands and thousands of years on this Earth planet or anywhere within the cosmos, because it doesn't have to only be within, on the Earth planet. It can be amongst any number of planets, planetary systems. And we do know that the demigods, they control different activities of not just the sky and the weather and these things, but the limbs of our bodies. So we don't have much freedom when you think about it, not even our eyelids. You can't move anything without the control of the demigods, okay? And so Dhruva Maharaj concluded that the demigods were envious of his superior position in devotional service and that they conspired against him to pollute his intelligence. And although he was a disciple of Narada Muni, he couldn't accept Narada's valid instructions. I don't know for sure, but I'm feeling right in this section that this is the mind of a child speaking. Oh, he's just jealous. They're just jealous of my devotional service. That's why, they polluted my intelligence, and I couldn't perform the devotional service perfectly. No, I don't think so. It's and of course, he's saying this too because he has so much regret, and when he talked to his spiritual master, he said that he told him, I regret that I didn't listen to the instructions, and Narada Muni told him, why should it bother you whether the stepmother is insulting you or adoring you. Okay. So this position of being fixed is when you don't react one way or the other to somebody's insult or injury. Sometimes it hurts badly, but you try not to retaliate. You know, someone can hurt you. That doesn't mean you have to have a revengeful attitude. And it also doesn't mean you want to harm yourself because of it. You know, you remain fixed in your devotional service, and the Lord helps you to take care of those feelings. Now, Narada Muni realized that Dhruva Maharaj was just a child, and he didn't have the maturity at that point to understand how to not feel this revenge. And so that's when he told him, look, when you're older, then try to practice devotional service. Why don't you go back home for the time being? Be it, you know, go back home and enjoy your childhood, you know? And, but, you know, Dhruva Maharaj wanted to ask for something perishable, which was the revenge against his stepmother and the possession of the kingdom of his father. So he did it at the same time that he regretted these things, and he couldn't take his spiritual master's instruction. He wanted to. He knew that his consciousness was contaminated, but the Lord was so merciful to him that even though he had to stay on the Earth planet for some time, for many years. And so Dhruva Maharaj was given the pole star planet, which is, you know, the only planet that's going to exist after the annihilation of the cosmos. And it will still be there. So it's kind of interesting. It's a place that actually exists in the spiritual world, yet it's situated within the material world. Very hard for me to conceive of that, but it is true. And the Lord gave him that planet, and it was named Dhruvaloka, or the pole star. And then he gave him the rule of 36,000 years of his father's kingdom. He gave that to him out of his affection and love for Dhruva Maharaj. And the fact that Dhruva Maharaj had executed devotional service. So, you know, we don't know what I'm seeing here. Here's a child who made some foolish mistakes, and the Lord understood this, that he didn't yet have that maturity, but he was such an advanced soul that whatever he did do for the Lord in devotional service, the Lord, you know, took that into consideration and said, you know, he was just merciful to Dhruva Maharaj and gave him some of the things he wanted, you know, the things he wanted, and yet at the same time, he would be transferred then to the spiritual world upon ending this particular lifetime. I mean, at least that's my understanding here. So anybody that would like to comment or add something, or I think that
Mataji, so I was just thinking about what you said about demigods being envious. So yeah, even I was thinking the same, like it's all like a childishly Dhruva Maharaj is telling that. But I don't know, will is that sure? But because Srila Prabhupada is writing that as shown by many instances in the Vedic literature. So, but we know that whenever a person is doing a severe austerities, so the demigods will send all these Apsara ladies to disturb them, and and they want to stop these austerities, and they want to create Maya for not asking so many boons from the Lord and not to get higher positions than them. So
Right.
yeah, sometimes we hear some stories like that in the Vedic literature. So even I was thinking in that way or too. So even I'm also confused. Like, so really demigods will do like that? Or not?
No, I'm sure that they do that. I'm sure that they become frightened that
Mm,
someone will take their post,
yeah.
you know. And
But
and
in
I
Dhruva Maharaja's case, is this is this true? Otherwise, no, I don't think it is true in Dhruva Maharaja's case, because Dhruva Maharaja, from the beginning, he started this austerities, he started this tapasya with the material desire, like to take revenge and to have a big kingdom. So, so I think based on that only, everything happened. So so there is no, we can say that there is no interference of these demigods here.
don't think, right. I just think this is, it seems to me, now I could be totally wrong, but
Mm,
it seems to me that he's thinking as a child
mm,
here, and oh, they're jealous of me and blah, blah, blah. You know, we would have to ask somebody who knows more than we do about this.
yes.
I think, let's see. Yeah, and you're right, you know, right in the beginning, it does say that the demigods, I'm sure there are many instances where the demigods become fearful that they're going to lose their post, etc. And they do create Maya and disturbances for certain, you know, for certain jivas. But Dhruva Maharaj, I think this was different. I don't think that the demigods interfered at all with him. It, like you said, right from the beginning, he had material desires. And so that's why he didn't execute the devotional service perfectly. He was just a young boy. And so
So
um,
one more thing, like in this purport, so here Dhruva Maharaja is lamenting that I didn't listen to Narada Muni when he said that you go home and come back later after so many, when you are matured enough to do all these type of festivities. So he is feeling bad that I didn't listen to Narada Muni, right, Mataji?
oh yeah, exactly.
Mm.
He regretted it. Yeah, that he neglected the instruction of the spiritual master.
Mm.
Yes, he did. Um, and it was because he didn't have the consciousness, he didn't have
Mm.
the maturity. He was just a child. If he had been, I'm sure, more seasoned in his devotional service, maybe those things would not have happened. um, he wasn't yet at the pure state, but he was very, very, very exalted. So maybe we can ask this question. I don't think Leela Mandri Mataji is around. Let me see if she'll pick up. Leela Mandri, are you there? Hare Krishna? Hmm. I'm not certain,
Yes, Mataji. Yeah.
but I don't think that the demigods did that to him. It
Mm.
doesn't seem like it because he's so young.
Mm.
And well, maybe, you know, it could very well be if it's being said, like you said, maybe that is true, but I have to come back again to this earth. I, yeah. Well, it's what Dhruva Maharaj's conclusion is that the demigods, being envious of his superior position, conspired against him to pollute his intelligence. And thus, although he was the disciple of a great Vaishnava, Narada Muni, he could not accept Narada's valid instructions. It doesn't say one way or the other here, whether that's true or not. It's, you know what I mean? If this is just the the way the child is thinking, or if in fact the demigods had interfered to conspire, you know what I mean, against him. Up to this point, I don't I don't know the answer to that. So there's a lot of things that, we can ask when the people come back
Yes,
on
Mataji.
the
Yeah.
class. I don't know. I think Leela Mandry is helping her sister quite a bit in these next couple of weeks. So we might have to could you write this question down, Mataji, so we can ask that again?
Sure, Mataji.
We can ask, you know what, in the meantime, if you want, I'll ask tomorrow. If you want me to ask Guru Maharaj tomorrow, I can ask.
Yeah, you can ask Mataji. Yeah, we can ask Guru Maharaj tomorrow.
You want me to ask or you?
Yes. Yeah, you can ask Mataji. No problem.
Okay, I better write it down then.
Okay.
Okay.
You write down the verse number and the context which we are talking.
Okay. So did the demigods actually conspire against Dhruva Maharaj to dissipate his intelligence, right?
Yes, Mataji. Yeah.
Okay. And this is I'll ask that question tomorrow if you want. And that's Canto 4, and it's chapter 9. Let's see if he'll let me do that. Because if it's not on the topic at hand, well, I'll ask him if I could ask about another topic. And if he says no, then I'll wait. Okay?
Yes, Mataji. Sure.
What was the question you had today from the Chaitanya Charitamrita?
Yeah, even I was thinking about the same. I totally forgot about it. What I was thinking.
Let me go back. Let me look there.
Yes, Mataji.
And maybe I can ask him that question tomorrow morning. I'm usually very half dead in the morning, asleep.
Yeah, that's true, Mataji. Half sleepy only, 5:30 time.
All right, here it is. It was about the Mahamantra.
What was the question, Mataji?
Where was
okay. Yeah, Kalisantarpana Upanishad in Yajurveda. Yeah.
So we know that answer.
Yes. Yeah, we know that because that Yajurveda is part of Vedas only, 4 Vedas.
Okay. So that's where it was mentioned. So we only have the one question.
Yes, Mataji.
And I'll ask him something tomorrow because I think he gets very upset if we don't ask a lot of questions. He wants us to ask a lot of questions. So, sometimes I just don't know what to say,
Yeah.
And that's why I don't ask a question all the time. I mean, Sri Devi Mataji, she asks great questions all the time, but I don't know. I've never been like that. You know what I mean?
Even I'm surprised how Mataji gets so many questions daily.
How did you come up with that? It's great. It's fantastic. But I just am not very, even when I was in school, I would not ask 10,000 questions. You know what I mean? Once in a while, I would ask a question. So this will be good. At least, yeah. Okay, I wrote it down. So this way I won't forget.
Yes, Mataji. And Mataji, today I was hearing to the recording of Guru Maharaj morning class, but the first part was cut. Maharaj was reading from which book, Mataji? Do you know?
No, I don't know if he even mentioned what book it was from. It was another, I think it was another Swami who had written about this topic.
Okay.
But I don't remember who he said it was. You can ask, that's a question you can ask him.
Okay.
Tell him you were going over.
Somebody, I'll find out with Anjali Mataji otherwise.
Okay. That sounds good. Okay, well, if there are no further questions, I think maybe we can end for today.
Yes, Mataji. Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much for joining and being there for me and helping me in my Krishna consciousness.
Thank you. Me too, Mataji. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare
Hare Krishna, Mataji.